This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2023 high school football preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600.
Had the Rangers lost today, I would not be here right now. I'd been in an emergency room somewhere in Blair County.
I thought we were going to have to do it anyway. I thought we were going to have to take it to the Altoona hospital.
Plus, I'm starving now. I don't eat when the Rangers are on TV. Yeah. I'm too nervous. I have baked fish and some garlic pasta and carrots waiting.
Yeah. He said he had to throw up like in the bottom of the night.
I had to throw up and go to the bathroom, and not in that order either.
Yeah. It's only game 2. What if it goes to game 7?
And what if they go to the World Series?
You're not going to be able to.
I'll be a nervous wreck.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's a 2-0 lead. 2 Rangers.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 9 of the high school football season here on Mirror TV, on your YouTube channel, and Public Access Channel 13 locally for cable subscribers. I am joined again here as we're heading towards the finish line here of high school football that we started back in August. I am joined again by my two gurus, Mike Boyden, schedule maker extraordinaire, who picks out the games for us, and Guru Jr., Andy Stein. My name is Scott Franca, and we have a lot of games, so we're going to get right off to them. We didn't get anything. We weren't going to. That's all. We didn't get anything. There's still time. There's still a chance. Somebody wants to bring us something. But, even if you want to bring us...
Next week's Halloween, maybe somebody will bring us a trick or treat.
Or candy. I don't know about Mike, but Andy and I are thinking about dressing up.
Maybe.
We don't know what Mike wants to go to, but I have an outfit. Andy has an outfit picked out.
I hope it comes by next week.
Well, better come. I mean, it shows up with an outfit on.
I know.
Anyways, let's get right off the bat here. Carlisle 1-7 at Altoona 3-5. I mean, this looks like a good chance for Altoona to get in the win column here.
Yeah, the Carlisle has actually done pretty well against Altoona, but they have a new coaching staff, and while Coach Niedermeyer said he thought that they responded to the coaching staff all right, the team hasn't kind of shown on the field so much. They've lost some low-scoring games. Their quarterback is a bigger guy, athletic. They can throw the ball a little bit, but this is a game that Altoona can certainly win. They are going to be going to the playoffs. They'll probably be playing Mifflin County in the semifinals, a team they've already beaten there. So, the biggest thing for Coach Niedermeyer is keeping his guys healthy. We saw what happened when Braun Mosley went out there for a week. That was, they don't want to have something like that happen. Keep their guys healthy, get some momentum going into the postseason.
Kids read the papers. Your kids know records, too, so they can find it on the internet, too. But, I mean, if your coach saw that you were playing a 1-7 team, did he beat that into your brains? Like, hey, you cannot...
I would imagine Coach Niedermeyer saying that doesn't matter, 1-7. As far as Friday night is concerned, it's going to be 0-0. And hey, I think Altoona needs that mentality right now. And hey, maybe they can string a couple wins together before the playoffs.
Our next game, and this speaking of transition, we're playoff atmosphere. Chestnut Ridge 7-1, coming off that high-scoring win over BG. Richland 8-0. I mean, Richland's just good every year. Who's covering this game first, by the way? We're getting this from somebody, hopefully. But, I mean, Chestnut Ridge 7-1 and Richland 8-0. I mean, I don't even know who I would pick. I'd have to take the home team, but who do you like?
Well, the really interesting thing about this game is Richland, we've all talked about how they've been undefeated all year. Seems like they're in line to play in the Laurel Highlands Championship, which we know Central is going to be in. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Laurel Highlands Championship game, we all kind of assume is going to be Richland versus Central. But if Chestnut Ridge wins this game, they're in the district. They're in the Laurel Highlands Championship game because they would have the same record as Richland and the tiebreaker.
And they used to play each other, Chestnut Ridge Central. I used to cover those games. I remember that.
So, obviously the Lions have entered their tough stretch of their schedule here. They did lose to Penn Cambria, but as we talked about, that game could have went either way. And to put up 50 points on a BG defense, I don't care who is hurt or who's out or who's sick, that's impressive. And if you can put up 50 against BG, you can do things against Richland. I will say, though, since Chestnut Ridge has been in the Laurel Highlands, they've really struggled against Richland. So that's got to be like a mental hurdle they get over if they're going to win this game.
And I know in the past, Mike's written stories because we had fun with the word gauntlet. It seemed like Central had a gauntlet. Chestnut Ridge here recently, I mean, you got to worry about they're going to be beat up too.
Penn Cambria, BG, and then they finished Richland before the last game. I mean, yeah, that's not easy right there to finish. But hey, I mean, to put up 50 like they did against BG, and you said it could have gone either way. That one could have gone either way too. But hopefully they're feeling pretty good going into Richland week this week.
How beat up are high school kids at this point of the year? Did you guys used to do a lot of walkthroughs when you were playing, or do you guys still hit people in week 9?
I don't know if you're hitting that much in week 9, but I'm sure they're feeling pretty beat up no matter what how your season's going right now. I mean, you definitely got bumps and bruises. Nobody's 100% right now for sure.
Our game 3 here, another good one Mike's picked out. Clearfield 6-2 at Central 8-0. And a disclaimer, Andy and I know I accidentally knocked the Central hat before we went on the air, and I could not get it to work, so I had to make do with that. So I'm hoping, please, that I don't jinx it. I know Mike does not believe in jinxes. You don't believe it.
Not really.
I believe in jinxes. So let's hope Central.
Let's talk about that for a second. Scott Franco believes in jinxes because he believes the entire world revolves around him.
My sports teams.
Anything that he does can impact something that happens in, say, Texas,
Karma,
or Miami,
or Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois.
Enough about me. Clearfield said Clearfield's
so let's get into this
year.
game, which is clearly jinxed for Central now. I mean, I don't know how they could possibly win because of something Scott Franco did in the Mirror office, but somehow they will be able to overcome that, I think. Clearfield has only lost 2 games this year. They lost to Forest Hills, and they just lost to Richland. They're a pretty good team. I know Andy will probably be able to talk a little bit after I'm done here on, Clearfield has a new coach this year, and he's a little bit more familiar with him than I am. Central, though, going into this game is really hitting their stride. I watched them last week against Bedford. Eli Moodler was able to pass the ball all over the field to a bunch of different targets. He is really taking advantage of the fact that he has a bunch of really good players this year and not just like the one main target. But Andy, I think Clearfield's got to be really happy with their 6-2 mark this year. Talk a little bit about their coach and that.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're 6-2 right now. Like Mike said, the losses to Forest Hills, and they only lost by a touchdown to Richland last week. I mean, from what I understand, Miles Carrigan, he's a lot like he definitely took some Tim Janocko philosophies with them from last year, but I think he's also. He also came from a good program at Keystone Oaks. He came from he played at Pitt. He was a defensive tackle at Pitt the last time they beat West Virginia, which was a very big game. Well, before last year, I should say. But I think Miles has taken over the reins at Clearfield, and he's done a very good job there. So, I think last week was a very close game. I think this one could be too against Central.
And I can't figure out how they lost to Forest Hills based on how. But again, then I can't figure out how
it was week 4, week 5.
I can't figure out how West Branch had beaten Junior Valley back then. But boy, playing Richland and Central back to back, that's got to be tough.
That is a tough schedule, and I will also say this: the reason why Central has this already locked up, even though Bald Eagle area also only has 1 loss, is that Clearfield beat Bald Eagle area, and they're in the same section. So Bald Eagle area has a loss in the section, and that is if Central would lose to Clearfield, they'd both have the same loss. So that wouldn't matter. They haven't gone head-to-head, but if you go down the tiebreaker thing, section record is the one that would hit off if Central loses this, and they would go into the championship game based off the section record due to Clearfield beating Bald Eagle area and then being in the same section. Central's in a different section when they went undefeated in that section.
Did you write that all down? Because there will be a quiz at the end of this show. It'll be popped up on the screen. Dan will probably put it in somewhere.
Pay attention.
Our next game is another big one Mike found for us. Northern Bedford 8-0 and Windber 6-2. Can I ask who's covering that one? Is Neil Rudell the beat writer for Northern Bedford?
That would be me. I actually asked Neil's permission today if it was okay if I covered Northern Bedford, because I know he is the beat writer.
He was worried that it was going to, because he has Penn State, Northern Bedford, he has to juggle both, programs, I think. But it's good to hear that Mike, he threw Mike a morsel there.
Yeah, well, speaking of morsel, I plan on eating them at Rizzo's in Windber. That is one of the reasons I wanted to cover
the connoisseur expert here for restauranteering in Pennsylvania.
So yeah, any Northern Bedford fans looking for somewhere to eat, Rizzo's is an amazing Italian restaurant there. But let's get to the game. Windber is the team that we all expected would be playing Northern Bedford in the District 5 championship game, but obviously North Star is going to have something to say about that. North Star almost beat Northern Bedford last week, and they beat Windber earlier in the season. I think it was 41-20. So Windber's probably still going to play North Star in that semifinal game. Northern Bedford will probably play Myersdale in the semifinals, but this could be a chance to see a preview of the championship. Now, Windber had John Schuster last year. He's graduated. He was a really good running back that was the reason Windber was really, really good last year, but they're still a very good team, and this should be an interesting game out there on the turf at Windber.
And I'm curious what your feelings are on, as far as I know, I'm a big, when teams are really good, I go, who's home, who's away. Northern Bedford has to win this on the road, too, against them.
Yeah, and that's not easy. I know somebody told us last week, and I think you said that, we put too much emphasis on who has the home field or not.
Yeah, my son tells me that all the time.
It was your son.
So I make my picks. He goes, why do you love these home fields?
I mean, there's something to be said for having home field for sure, but I think Northern Bedford's got a lot of talent. They showed that last week. They showed that against Berlin, too. But, hey, I mean, line them up and play. That's what you're supposed to do. And hey,
the one thing Northern Bedford cannot do this week is they threw 5 interceptions last week against North Star. They have to cut back on the turnovers if they're going to get to where they want to be.
I also remember the one quote that Neil's story said, Gary Black said they couldn't have possibly played any worse in the first half, and they still won. Yeah.
Speaking of who played a bad first half and second half last week, Hollidaysburg 3-4 hosting a 7-1 Danville team, and you don't know much about Danville. Mike can tell you they're District 4, right? Mm-hmm. And they are good.
Yeah, they're good. They have a very nice stadium. We've had a lot of teams that have played at Danville. It's kind of been like a district meeting point of when the PIAA playoffs begin there. But last year, for example, now these Bellefonte and Huntington weren't great teams last year, but they're District 6 teams. Danville played them last year, and they won by a combined score of 135-8. So, obviously Danville is a talented program. I think Coach Delatre said their quarterback's thrown for almost 1,800 yards this year, and they have a good running back as well. But it'll be interesting to see how Hollidaysburg does in this matchup, because so many of the Hollidaysburg's games this year, they've had to focus on stopping a really good running team. And this is a team that's going to be able to throw the ball really well. We'll see how good their secondary is in this one.
If you were 3-4 and you saw you were hosting a 7-1 team, do high school kids get nervous they get here, or do they not pay attention to that?
Yeah, I would hope they didn't pay attention to that. Like I said for the last game with Northern Bedford Windber, just line them up, see what happens. But I think Hollidaysburg needs to have the mentality, hey, whatever happens, happens. You have nothing to lose right now.
How healthy is Hollidaysburg? Did he tell you as far
He didn't give me an update, but I will say this. I was surprised that Drew Weiland hasn't made it back, because he originally told me that he thought that they were going to be coming back that next week. But Maddox Bandy has done a pretty decent job without him, and Caden Delatre still put up some numbers in the receiving game. I think the main thing is Hollidaysburg's going to the playoffs. They're going. I did confirm that with Homer this week. He said that he says they're a playoff team. Right now, Central Mountain's 2-6. And when I talked to Ralph Cesari, the football chairman, he said that no team has opted out of the playoffs yet. So it looks like Hollidaysburg will be playing Central Mountain for the district championship game. I think right now Homer just wants to make sure he has as healthy of a team for that game.
And they have one more game at home with Du Bois the following week. Our last game we're going to look at is the Saturday game. Philipsburg 3-5 at a Bishop Guilfoyle 4-4 team. Philipsburg, played nice. It was the Penns Valley game where we were in here charting that score, and we're like, wow, that
was kind of a turning point for their season.
And then last week the BG game was in there. We were really, BG's just kind of like, without, this is a nice break for them that they can be at home hosting a Philipsburg team, which I think they should be able to defeat.
Well, Philipsburg has won its last 2 games. And I want to give a shout out to defensive coordinator Jason Wilson, who got a win against Westmont Hilltop last Saturday on his birthday. Just had to stand out in the rain against Westmont Hilltop for his birthday, but came home with a W. This is a game that is kind of interesting, because Bishop Guilfoyle told me, when I talked to Coach Wheeler, he said, hey, our playoffs start now. Bishop Guilfoyle is, believe it or not, the number 8 seed in 2A right now, and only 8 teams make it. Now, Philipsburg-Osceola is just on the outside looking in. If they win this game, they got to be thinking, hey, we can jump BG and get into that final playoff spot if we win our last 2 games. So, PO lost to Bellwood, and they lost another game that was right there for them, and they could be 5-3, really, if all the cards had fallen right for them this year. So it's not like a situation where BG is just going to come in and walk all over this team, especially if they're not coming into this game healthy, which they've been struggling. Coach Wheeler told me that the whole team has been battling illness. When I talked to him on Sunday, I could barely hear him. His voice was so bad because of him struggling with something. And hopefully, BG can just get healthy, beyond football. We want these kids to be feeling good.
And we don't know who they're playing that following week, because that's all about matchups and everything. Yeah, as far as Philipsburg, too, they're going to be excited about being on that carpet at Mansion Park, which I'm trying to think, when's the last time Philipsburg played, if at all, if they've ever played there.
Well, at BG,
at Mansion Park.
Oh, in Mansion Park, and it's probably been a while, I would think. But
and they see a 4-4 record. They're thinking, hey, if we play our best, we could possibly knock these guys off.
I think that's what Philipsburg needs to be thinking right now is, hey, we got a chance. If we can pull off a pretty big upset, I think a lot of people around here would think that would be a big upset. But if they can do it, they're probably looking at maybe even making the playoffs. So that would be huge for Philipsburg. It'd be they could potentially view this season as kind of a turnaround, kind of a turning point for a program, honestly.
Yeah, they have a young quarterback. They have some kids that are going to be coming back next year. So,
and if they're both 4-5, they get the tiebreaker. They jump over BG. Is that how?
Well, we would still have the next week, obviously, to play through. And there's some other teams that are involved. Central Cambria is still alive there, and West Shamokin is 4-4. So there's still some other teams in competition for that last spot. But like I said, it's the playoffs have begun for the Marauders.
You should always read the Mirror and watch the show, but next week, really, because next week he's going to have all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, they'll tell us, like, okay, if this happens, then this happens, and this happens. And Andy and I just have to sit here and read and talk.
Yeah.
But talk about reading and talking. Let's go to our stat of the week. Mike's stat of the week.
Well, my stat of the week this week is short and simple. Bellwood Annis has not had a great season. They only have one win, but I did want to point out, we've talked about him a couple times on the show, Alex McCartney, freshman. He was the first person in our core coverage area to go over 1,000 yards rushing this year. He's got 1,012 yards, and he's run for 10 touchdowns this year as a freshman. And it's pretty impressive considering the fact that, Bellwood struggled to pass the ball, so the teams know he's going to be running the ball, and he's still run for over 1,000 yards.
I agree. Andy now, our Andy's line of the week, which I'll very slowly talk about, so Dan can put those really cool graphics in.
That's right.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
All right. Chestnut Ridge, you are my line of the week. What a win for you guys. 50-43, putting up 50 points against BG. That's impressive. You guys had 350 rushing yards. Awesome job for those guys. Left tackle, Braden Ickes. Left guard, Mason Miller. Center, J.J. Shetler. Right guard, Alex Christ. Right tackle, Caden Henson. Max Shoemaker told me they don't run any tight end sets. I thought that was interesting, but awesome job of those guys. Good luck against Richland.
H-back? No H-back in now?
Yeah, they might. I should have asked
curious
about that.
because that's really good if 5 guys are doing all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Blocking. And now to Mike's least favorite part of the evening when he comes to work and we're going to film this show is Scotty Franco's Cool Name segment.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
And I didn't try to go really outlandish here. I went simple. Claysburg-Kimball has a sophomore named Landon Woods. I just like people that take the last name and make it a first name. Yeah. And I think of Ponderosa and Bonanza, Michael Landon, very rustic name. Landon Woods, sophomore, Claysburg-Kimball. And then this one I like from Glendale, I like the first name. His name is Malachi Richards. If you're old and you're a fan of Happy Days, it looks like Malachi, the Malachi brothers, who were always the nemesis of Fonzie on Happy Days. But it's pronounced Malachi. Malachi Richards, a junior from Glendale, are Week 9 cool names. So as Mike's getting ready to either make a paper airplane here or a football to kick towards Andy.
Here we go.
We think it's a football kick towards Andy. We're going to say thank you for watching. We're glad you're watching on YouTube. We're glad you're watching on Channel 13 Public Access. There, I just talked. I ad-libbed just enough for Mike to do that. But for Mike Boydum, for Andy Stein, for Dan Eisberg, who puts up with all our tomfoolery and spells tomfoolery correctly on the screen for you each week.
That's right.
I'm Scott Franco. We will see you next week.
What if there was a kid named Tom Foolery?
Oh, that would make our cool names.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody out there named Foolery, marry somebody and have a kid and name him Tom, and hopefully we still have a show. Tom Foolery. Oh, now I'm going to just start thinking about that. I'm going to start looking in the dictionary.
I'm legally changing my last name.
I'm going to Google Foolery and see if there's anybody's last name is Foolery. Oh. And they named him Trevor. Trevor Foolery. That would be so disappointing. Good night, everybody.